Hi there. We continue our mental journey. We are in the quarter of duality, but the mind just takes it to all kind of weird directions. And after surviving the confusion and the doubt, we are going to have a week of oppression and grace. So let's dive into it a little bit. This is the gate of oppression, the 47th gate. We know it very well, the gate of realizations in the Ajna Center. And of course, because of the nodes, we are getting the whole channel of the abstract again for 6 days. And of course, we can't forget the doubt that gets together with all this. And the gate of oppression is about a restrictive and adverse state as a result of internal weakness or external strength, or both. And I'm carrying this gate, and I can really tell you that there is a huge difference between how I lived before the experiment and how I live now, when this oppression doesn't run my life anymore. And it's very, very important. I'm not going to talk about this gate. We had a lot to talk about it, but strategy and authority is there are such huge directing tools for us when we have mental activations. Of course, when we don't have two, but when we have mental activations, this is really important. And we'll look at this today a little bit. The gate of grace, this is a gate that is part of the individual stream of emoting. This is part of the stream of passion, the stream of emoting that is a very romantic stream if we talk about bonding. The gate of attentiveness, the gate that has gift of listening, and it is open to listen or closed, of course, and it is also grace or disgrace. And this very individual and mutative gate is the only social gate in the whole individual circuit. Now, when we're talking about social, we're not talking tribal social or collective social. We are talking individual social, which is just open enough to mutate, to infect the other with a mutative virus. And this is the gate of the left ear. And I have a little story to share. I'm recording this in advance because I'm going to Europe and to Amsterdam. And I was sitting with an amazing young man. He's an MG, sacral MG 1-3 profile, and he experiments with everything. He tries everything he needs to prove to himself that the mechanic works. And he sat with me, and I just showed him a presentation about the streams and the body graph, and I was talking about this, and I just saw him moving his head from now and then, and I didn't understand what he was doing, but I was just talking. And afterwards, he told me that he's experimenting with listening in the left ear that hears over time, emotional. This is the 22nd gate, or listening through the 57th gate, the right ear that hears in the now. And he's a splenic generator. And he has, of course, the activation in the 57th gate. So it was amazing to see, because what he says, that when he was listening to me through the right ear, he heard, it was a feeling of, wow, this is too much information. And when he was listening through the left ear, he could handle it. Now, this was amazing for me, because when I started working with human design, I did what Ra recommends, and he says that when you sit with somebody, you should sit like that most of what he hears would go to the left ear, because it's not what we are saying in these sessions and what happens in these sessions. These are things that need to be digested, and it's not information we need to hear in the now. It's not on the surface, it's deep. So I wanted to get to the to them through their left ear. And it was such an amazing thing when this young man reflected to me how that works, because I just trusted Ra. I mean, I didn't think about it too much. I'm a second line. But when I'm dealing with a 1-3, everything needs to be investigated. So it was such an amazing experience. So we are going to have this moodiness involved with listening in an emotional way, and in empowering with our mutative virus. This is, and everything is colored with the oppression. So this is interesting to see these two gates together. And then later this day, the moon is going to help us to release some abstract ideas from this channel of the abstract, because this is the next step in the mental stream of the abstract. So we will have 10 hours of ideas. And of course, if we're talking about moodiness and family and intimacy that we have in the solar plexus, and this is the quarter of duality, so maybe we will have abstract ideas about those themes. And then in the 11th, this is a day to watch. I mean, I cleared my calendar. That's the truth. I had an appointment on this day and I cleared it because I saw the transits that are going to be. This is going to be a day of self-oppression in the third line, which is really, I mean, the third line is something by itself, but with the self-oppression and the line of futility in Mercury. So I don't want to be involved with the deep stuff in this day. I want just to watch what's happening. And I told you we're all about the mind now. So I was just, I found a chart that I wanted to share with you. But before this, I just, I looked at all the charts that I know and many people that come to me, and I'm in the beginning of my Chiron, and people around me, I have a lot of people that were born in the same time, plus minus, and these times were full with mental activations in the air, let's say. The neutrinos blessed us with a lot of mental activations. So I just want to show you a few charts, just to look at the chart and to see how many mental activations these people have, and how crucial for these people to live correctly, because otherwise, instead of having an amazing outer authority, they look like that. I mean, when the mind runs the show, we just look like this picture of the Osho Centaur. And I just want to take a glimpse in these charts, sorry. So first of all, these are 8 mental activations, 5 of them in the gate of returning. This is unbelievable. And just watching this triple split, we can assume that this person lives in her mind, lives in the third part, the upper part of the definition. And then we have 9 mental activations. Here rules the confusion, but we have all kind of other stuff too. This is a case that I know personally and deeply, and it is not an easy case. The open head and ajna with 9 mental activations, I can tell you this is not easy. I will not get into details, but I think you can imagine. And this is a chart of somebody I know very well, and also know the consequences of these 11 mental activations in this triple split. And both emotional channel, both authoritative emotional channels are unconscious. The definition is unconscious. So you can imagine what happens in this life. Between 1963 and 1966, the Gate of Confusion was occupied by Pluto, And then Pluto moved to the gate of oppression. And so all these people in these years have this inner truth of mental activations. And Neptune was in the 43rd gate, the gate of breakthrough, also for a period of time. And Uranus was in the gate of oppression. And we have here an example of this generation. This is Sinead O'Connor. She was born in 1966. And we know that her life is not easy. And her let's say, the presence of the gate of oppression in our chart is really strong. And we know how these mental activations in the not-self world show themselves. Let's look a little bit at her chart. So first of all, she has 5 times the gate of oppression, including Pluto and the cross. And she has Neptune in the gate of breakthrough, and she has Venus in the gate of ideas. And 2 of the 2 pressure centers are open, totally open. So the pressure the mental pressure, and then the pressure to do something about it, very strong. She's a 5-1, and the 5-1 that does stupid things pays with the reputation, and we know that too. We see the channel of transitoriness that just led her into doing and trying everything. And of course, she's a single definition. It all goes to the throat, very, very strong. She has 4 kids from 4 different fathers. This is exactly the combination of the channel of intimacy and channel of transitoriness. And she's really very, very talented and very heretical person. But of course, she suffers deeply from all these mental activations because they run the show. Now, another amazing thing, this genetic continuity is amazing. I mean, you look at a chart and you can just dive in it for days because we can find amazing connections. So Sinead's moon is in the line of tranquility, the 32nd, the gate of duration, in the 6th line. This is one of the lines that have really potential for self-destruction. The exaltment, of course, the lesson is the need to calmly face impermanence. And with this design, you must learn to face impermanence. And it's the exaltment is an underlying acceptance of change that may or may not lead to tranquility. The instinctive awareness to accept change and transformation. And of course, in Sinead's chart, this is the only activation she has in an open center. So this is very, very strong. Her other open centers are totally open, which is also amazing. So this moon does 2 things. First of all, it is, of course, activated only when conditioned. And on the other side, it also brings pressure to the gate of ambition and the pressure to move and do things while the mind brings all these thoughts and ideas and oppression, and then the movement is and the movement goes to the throat because this is a manifesting generator. So the detrimental side of this moon is impermanence as proof of meaninglessness, with its attendant manifestation, depression, delusion, and in the extreme, self-destruction. And we just know that. We know that about her. We see it everywhere, and it doesn't stop. She's in a Cairo now, and she should be resting a little bit, resting and being a role model, and we'll see it in a minute, her notes. So here we can see, first of all, yes, the nodes. The nodes are in the 3rd line and in the 6th line. Now, she had a very, very bumpy road because the first 30 years that were very, very, very bumpy in her life, not easy to say the least. She had this third line road and third line vision. And afterwards, it had to change and be more going on the roof, and there wasn't a roof there. and then then the road had to become more more as role model, and this part didn't happen. Sorry, my throat. And we also see that she has three other third lines. Her Jupiter, her conscious Jupiter in the line of selectivity. And then we have two important lines, the 59 third, in the third line, which is bonds made and broken, of course, and that's what happened in her relationship. And also, of course, the line of the spirit in the gate of retreat, in the detriment, which is the bridge burner. So this whole bumpy road and a lot of bonds made and broken and trial and error, with this fifth line personality that needs that needs strong foundation from the profile 5-1, all these reputation problems. Wow, this is real stuff. And for dessert, we have these two Saturns in the gate of crisis. And we know that Saturn punishes us when we don't honor who we are. And when we give the decision-making process to our openness, then crisis is one of the things that we will go through. And of course, she is going through crisis after crisis after crisis. And it's true that she's built for that, but with the oppression and with the self-destruction, the picture is not nice. And, you know, I believe that if she lived her design, it would be different. And I can just know it from my little example. I have this little mental activation, 3 gates, and the channel of the abstract, and I got this line of futility, the gate of oppression in the 6th line, and I know on my flesh that it was different. It's so different when the mind stopped running my show, slowly but surely. There is no oppression. There is no oppression. There is just I look at life and I see that life is futile, but it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy it. So I'm just thinking about so many mental activations that we saw in other charts and in this chart. And I know deeply in my heart that strategy and authority can change everything. And you see Bart. Bart is really frightened out of this oppression. He thinks to himself, what can I do to prevent that? And then he just gets this amazing lesson and he writes on the board so he wouldn't forget, I shall follow my strategy, inner authority, and I will sleep alone. This slide was made by this amazing 1-3 manifesting generator that is doing all these experiments, and his name is Yaniv, and I really, really love him and his way, and we have an amazing journey together. So when he did that, I just knew I'd like to share it with all of you. So that's the way to avoid oppression and to avoid everything that the mind running the show can bring to our lives. So that's it. In order to really feel the butterflies around here instead of the oppression, all we need is really to follow our type strategy, navigate according to our inner authority or decision-making process, and sleep alone in our own aura. That's the Holy Trinity, and that's it. Bye-bye.